We are looking at a long-term process. Now, as part of this whole reconfiguration of the situation in Gaza, there is the security element. And very significantly, as part of the security element is the need to make sure that we will not see the rehabilitation of Hamas and Islamic Jihad military capacities in Gaza Strip.
We now know that Israeli troops are deep into Gaza City. And I know that you've said previously this is a catch-22 situation. It'll increase the risks, of course, to hostages, to Israeli hostages being held there and Gazan civilians, while allowing Israeli forces a better chance of locating them. It strikes me this is a very fine tightrope to walk on.
Yes, Kate, that is an accurate observation. We all understand the dilemma that is involved here. Hamas is using the hostages as a bargaining chip and is trying as much as possible to exhaust that card in order to basically secure itself. I think that, you may recall that since the beginning of the war, when I was referring to the challenge of the hostages and in the context of the war, I said that my assumption was that the Israeli government will fight that war as if there are no hostages, and at the same time will try to negotiate the release of the hostages as if there is no war. And I think that up until now, this is what we see.
Using your expertise in intelligence, how do Israel try and limit the potential of seriously harming or killing hostages? They are having to navigate tunnels which run underneath the city. They believe Hamas have a headquarters beneath one of the main hospitals there, the Al-Shifa hospital. How do they negotiate the complexities? Or is that, quite frankly, honestly, impossible? You can't satisfy both keeping hostages safe and trying to find them, if you see what I mean.
Well, Kate, I wish I could say that it can be done, but it's not 100% guarantee. I think that it's quite clear that from an intelligence perspective, at least, Israel is doing every possible effort in order to try and to limit as much as possible, as you say, the hazard for the well-being of the hostages. Now, one of the advantages of being present on the ground in Gaza Strip, as I've been saying all along, is the ability to generate more and more real-time intelligence coming while you're on the ground and be able to, relatively speaking, translate that intelligence into operational mode. So, for example, if there is an intelligence or information coming in which may indicate something regarding the whereabouts of hostages, obviously this is a piece of information that has to be carefully examined, very thoroughly looked at, and then based upon the evaluation of the reliability of the information, then to be transferred into an operational mode that could be in a different patterns. It could be either decision to make some kind of an action, like, for example, the story that we saw with the release of the Israeli soldier that was the soldier female that was captured by Hamas, and she was released based upon an intelligence that was extracted on the ground. Or in some other cases, you don't do something on the ground because you may, the intelligence that you may have in your possession could suggest or indicate that that may jeopardize the well-being of the hostages.
Okay. We heard from the Israeli Prime Minister yesterday night, that Israel will, for an indefinite period, have the overall security responsibility for Gaza once the conflict is done. This is a definite shift in approach, and I wanted your opinion on that, Avi. It has been many decades since Israel has assumed any security responsibility in Gaza. Do you think that that's a wise move? It directly contradicts what they've said even a few weeks ago about how they want nothing to do with the territory once the conflict is complete. What do you think?
I think we have to put it in a wider context. Look, I mean, today, major regional players like the Saudis, Egypt, Jordan, United Arab Emirates, the Palestinian Authority, Israel, the United States of America, they all understand that Hamas rule in Gaza Strip must come to an end. It cannot continue. And the issue is that once Israel is going to eliminate Hamas military spine, this is the objective of this war, and to end Hamas' role as the ruler power in Gaza Strip, and by doing that actually making Hamas an irrelevant player, the job is not done then, because we have to remember that we have the day post that military phase. And that phase, the next phase, is a very challenging phase, because you have, at the same time, you have to start rehabilitating Gaza, start thinking about a sort of like regional frame, and it has to be done in a regional frame, that basically could take control over Gaza and start restore life in Gaza, providing governmental services, providing conditions for people to go and to live their life. We are looking at a long-term process. Now, as part of this whole reconfiguration of the situation in Gaza, there is the security element, and very significantly, as part of the security element is the need to make sure that we will not see the rehabilitation of Hamas and Islamic Jihad military capacities in Gaza Strip. In order to do that, you must have a reliable military force that will be able to act on the ground to intercept and or to hunt down remains of Hamas and Islamic Jihad military powers, in order to make sure that they will not be able to rehabilitate and rebuild their power. In other words, to make sure that Gaza Strip will not yet again become a hub for terror, death, and destruction.